Okay, so today's lab is going to be, it's called vinegar. Determination of the acid content of vinegar. Okay, so vinegar is mostly water, but the thing that gives it its distinctive flavor is acetic acid. And so we're going to try to do, what we're going to do is find out how much acetic acid is in commercial vinegar. So there's going to be two main experiments. First of all, we're going to start out with unknown. This type of experiment is called titration. And titration experiment is where you use a known concentration of a substance and you add it to an unknown certain amount of it to an unknown to an unknown amount concentration of an unknown substance, and you can figure out what the concentration is doing this. So first thing our known eventually is going to be sodium hydroxide, but actually it's going to be unknown because we need to find out its concentration. So so what we do is we start out with 50% sodium hydroxide. Okay, and then what we do is we add about 3.5 milliliters to 500 mils of distilled water and mix them together, and that's what's in here. And then what I did is I'm going to put that in a burette. You can see that here. Then we'll show you how to use that. Okay, but okay, so it's a long tube there, glass tube, and first thing I got to do is rinse it out, and I'll show you how I did it. It's already done. What you do is you take the pipette, the burette, and what you do is you add your substance you're going to use, you add it to the burette, okay, and you don't have to add very much, only add about that much or so, okay. All right, let me go back a little bit here. Okay, so you only need to have about that much in it, and then what you do is you turn it on its side, and then you let it go, roll down to the bottom, almost the end, and then what you do is you turn it. And what you're doing is you're coating and rinsing the inside of the burette. Okay, once you get done with that, you have this device here attached to it, which is called a stopcock. And when it's perpendicular to the spout, it's off, and when it's parallel to it, it's on. So you have it like this when you rinse it out, okay, when you're coating it, and then when you open it up, the substance comes out, and do that a couple times to rinse it out, okay? And I've done that already with my burette that I have here. Okay. All right, so there you go. There's a burette. You can see it looks really tall. Okay, so and that's so what I did is I filled that up, not completely. So what I did was I added with that sodium hydroxide that I had in that bottle, and I put it towards the top. And I need to record that measurement. Okay, the way that these things are read, they're read from 0 to the top and then to 50 to the bottom. And that's because what you're going to do is that add the liquid into a container, and what you want to know is how much you added to the container. So when you start out with 0 and then you add. Well, we're not going to start out with 0. The number that we're going to start out with is going to be, and it's okay, I actually like to go a little bit under 1. So this is this goes to the, it reads to the tenths, so I'm allowed to go to the thousandths. Point 0.55. Okay, so my starting point is 0.55 mils of my unknown sodium hydroxide. Okay. Right, next thing that I need to do is I need to weigh out a substance that I'm going to figure out the concentration of my sodium hydroxide. And that the substance is called potassium hydrogen phthalate. Okay, it's an acid, and we'll be using it again. And this procedure says I want to weigh out, between, it doesn't have to be exact, 0.4 and 0.5 grams. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, zero, so I'm going to do it 3 times. So I'm going to zero my heirloom flask, and I'm going to put it in, and measure out about 0.5, 0.4 grams. And make sure, so, okay, 0.2, a little more, okay. So the first one is going to be 0.41. Okay, I'll write that down. 0.41. Remember that. Okay, next one. I have to zero it again because it's a different. Again, I want to get between 0.4 and 0.5. Don't have to get exact, but I need to record the exact amount. All right, number 2 is going to be 0.41 also. Okay, I didn't do that on purpose. That's how it worked out. Okay, and third one, excuse me. Okay, number 3 is 0.45. All right, so number 3. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add about, and these are instructions, which I can send you, it's about 50 mils. So on the, and it says about, so I'm just going to add water up to about the 50 mils, and don't use, so I have the water in a big beaker here, and I don't care about this weight here. All right, okay, so this is number 1. Okay, same thing for the other 2. Don't worry about this here. Okay. The only thing that matters is that we know how much of the acid is in it. Okay. All right. So now we're going to set up our experiment. What we're going to do. So we know. So we have our known quantity of our acid, and what we're going to do is add the base to it, and then figure things out. Okay. It looks like it's dripping a little bit, so I'm going to have to reread my my base. The other thing I'm going to do is I add a stir bar. Okay, so okay, so now the powder that was in the acid was a powder, and what I'm going to do is just stir it up so it's all mixed up. And I'm also going to leave it on because that's going to be part of the experiment. Alright. Okay, so next thing we'll do is alright, now I'm going to add some phenolphthalein. Okay, it's Phenolphthalein. Phenolphthalein. All right, I'm going to add 3 drops to it, and when the solution's acidic, it's clear. Okay, the phthalein is clear, and then when it becomes basic, it turns red. Or pink. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding my base, and the solution is going to start turn pink, I mean, and then when it completely turns pink, that's when I'm done. Alright, so I'm opening it up. And it's coming out kind of slowly. Kind of a racket here. But it's letting out, so far I've let out about 4 mils. And you can see the liquid hasn't changed any color yet. We just keep on adding it. There's a slow stream coming in here until it turns pink, and hopefully it will. And it's going real slow, and partly it has to do with there's some blockage here, but I'll fix that after this run. As long as it doesn't stop. It's going really slow now. I can notice where the drops are hitting the liquid. It's pink. So I'm at 18 mils now. If I turn it off, you can see that it's where it's hitting is turning pink. Okay, so I know it's doing its job, but I'm gonna turn it off and just so more and more of it's staying pink. I'll turn the stir back on in a second when I think enough of it's turned pink. So I want to go until all of it turns pink. So I'm at 25 mils now. See, this, what happens is it looks like nothing's happening. These guys kind of just going real slow, and then all of a sudden it'll turn pink. And so you just got to be careful. And actually, the slower the better because you want to get accurate. But typically, I try to go a little faster than this. But next to, I'll go a little bit faster because I'll clean this guy out and make sure it gets a good flow. So we're at 30. Now the brick, we only, if for some reason it doesn't turn pink and we get to 50, then we have to start and reload it. But don't go by past 50 because it doesn't measure after 50. But hopefully it won't do that, okay? The mounts are supposed to work, so we don't get that. So we got about 15 more mils before it gets there. Okay, now it's staying a lot more pink. So it's at 39, it's staying a little bit more pink. Hopefully you can see some of that going on there. Okay, it's getting close. Okay, I'll turn it off right now and see what happens. Okay. Now a lot of times what you want to do is you want to stir it really good, because you want to make sure pink stays, and the pink may disappear. If it does, that means you need to add a few more drops. But I'm going to add maybe one or two more drops. Okay. All right, so I'm done. So for the first one, so my final reading is 39.20. So write that down, 39.20 mils. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get the next one ready. And I'm going to clean out this barrette so that it doesn't, so it goes faster. In fact, what I'm going to do is use another barrette, and I know hopefully will go faster. So I'm going to do the rinse thingy here. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy and rinse it out. So first thing to do, like I showed you, so I added this sodium hydroxide, and again I'm going to turn it on its side. So it coats. Okay, and then I'm going to empty it out. That's much better. Okay. Right, and then I'm going to add up to the zero amount, about. Actually, it'd be kind of messy here. This is sodium hydroxide, and it's not, you really should be wearing gloves when you do this. Okay. So the amount of sodium hydroxide here is 0.220. Okay. So that's the amount of sodium hydroxide we're going to add. Okay. All right. I'm going to rinse my hands off. When you get sodium hydroxide in your hand, skin, it kind of actually eats away at your skin a little bit. And it feels like you got soap on it. Okay. All right. Also, what I'm going to do is get the stir bar out. Okay, now I take number 2, and we're going to do the same thing. All right, so before I get it going, I want to make sure that the powder's all stirred in there. And then I'm going to add 3 drops of phenolphthalein in it. 1, 2, 3. Right, and then I'm going to start adding the sodium hydroxide. I know from the last one that's got to be around between 35 and 40, I think. So I'm just going to kind of get a good stream going in there. And it's not going to turn completely pink until I get around 30. So it's going kind of fast right now. And I'm okay with that because if you look, it's turning pink, but it's only a little bit. But all right, so now it's about 26. See, that went a lot faster. So what I'm gonna do now is just get it a little go drop wise. So, excuse me. So the key here is you know the amount of acid, and you don't know the concentration of your sodium hydroxide. And we'll show you how, and I'll talk about the calculations. So what we want to know is what is the concentration of the sodium hydroxide, and we're using the known amount of the KHP to figure that out. Okay, so it's about 34. Okay, so it should start getting close. Okay, it's a little bit more because it's okay, that might be it right there. Stir it up. Oop, I probably want it just a drop more. Maybe a couple drops. All right. And staying pink, I'd say that's just 36.60. So it's a little bit less. So what we're going to do is average these three. That's why we're doing more than one. And the color is kind of, what you want to do is, you don't want to, you can get it really pink. I'll add a couple more drops, but I'm done. I'll show you that you can get it even pinker. All right, and you just have to decide what pink you're going to get. Okay, so that's maybe too pink, but that's one thing kind of bad with these coloring to figure out when you're done instead of using. It's more qualitative than quantitative. But that's what we're going to use for this one. So next thing I'm do is I'm going to get the next beaker ready. So I'm going to empty out this guy, get the stir bar, fill it up about to the Brett back up to 0, and then repeat. Okay. Right, so first thing to do is stir it up. And while it's stirring up, I'll add more sodium hydroxide to my barrette. Okay. Okay, so the Brett. Okay, so the Brett, I'm looking at, has a value of kind of hard to read, but kind of good thing to do is take some paper and put behind it, and it'll help you read it. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'd say it's 0.82 is my starting point. Okay, so each one has a different starting point, and each one will have a different finish point. But just make sure you record all your data. Okay, so next thing is add the phenolphthalein, had 3 drops. And then start to add my base. And again, I'm going to have it go pretty fast until it gets around 30. So this one, there's 0.45, so this one might take a little bit more. But we just got to make sure we get the recorded. After this video, I'm going to turn off this video and get prepared for the second part of it. So there'll be 2 videos with this lab. One is figuring out the concentration of sodium hydroxide, and the second one is going to be determining the concentration of your how much acetic acid you got. So right now it's at 29, so I'm going to get a nice little flow here.